Thanks to everyone joining us tonight. It's another beautiful time. Like I said earlier on the previous program, that we're coming back. Yes, we a bit late. That have to do with the network because we have a challenge with the network, but we managed to resolve it and we are back online now. Thank you very much, those of you joining us. We really appreciate your time on this broadcast this night. And we are having one of the great leader in Africa, one of the scholar, having him in the studio. We think that we're having this conversation together, and by the grace of God, I'm not going to be alone on this program tonight. We'll be connecting to our correspondent in Johannesburg. We'll be having this conversation together. Kumo Africa is also in Johannesburg, that is going to connect with us on this program as well, that will be having this conversation. So if you are please, firstly, let me greet everyone all over the world. In South Africa, Dumela, Ashe, Moloi, Asakatu, shout, language you speak, no matter the time on your side, we greet you according to your time zone. And we say welcome to the African Portal Radio TV International. It's going to be, I have one of the great leaders studio with me, Pro Afis Oladosu, Dean of Faculty, University of Ibadan, is with me in the studio, that we'll be having the conversation together. Wow, it's going to be a lovely time. But before I actually do that, let me quickly connect with the one of our very own in Johannesburg. Let's hear what is going on in Johannesburg, and it's going to be the one to introduce and connect our guest for tonight to the program. Let's quickly see what's going on in Johannesburg before we step into the program proper late this night. Thank you very much, those of you that are coming in. I really appreciate it. My name is Joshua Oludare Oluson. It's going to be a lovely, beautiful time. Please lower the radio on your side or use a earphone. We are live now. We just want you to do introduction and start. So kindly lower or use a earphone. Be able to hear you clearly. Thank you very much. Can you hear me clearly now? We can hear you now. Kindly, quickly introduce yourself and introduce our guest.
Okay. Good evening, our viewers and listeners. This is Kumo Africa from Joburg office. So welcome you to the African Voice, where we engage for fellow African brothers at home and in diaspora. So our guest for today, I'll just give a kind of brief background of our guest today. Professor Afis Oladosu is a dean in the Faculty of University of Ibadan, Nigeria. He's a cultural critic. His scholarly horizon and expertise straddle Arabic literary criticism, Islam and Arab Muslim modernities, gender, race, and Middle Eastern and Northern African studies. He has won international fellowships, scholarships. He was a Fulbright scholar, a Begin Scholar and Fellow African Scholar program at the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, United States, and a visiting professor to the International Islamic University, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. Recently, he is particular at the University of Ghana, in addition to being a member of Nigeria Academy of Letters. Now, Professor Oladosu is also a member of Nigerian Association of Teachers of Arabic and Islamic Studies, and an African Consortium for the Study of Law Orders. Also is a member of Association of Professional Translators of English Arabic in universities. He has participated and presented papers in local and international conflict, terrorism, peace building, gender in Arab societies, law, religion, and on globalization. He has served as external examiner for undergraduate programs and doctorate degree, and as assessor for professional promotions and professorial promotions for universities and outside Nigeria. He currently serves as member of the governing board National University Commission NUC. With our viewers and listeners, and welcome our guest, a person of Professor Afis. Oladosu. World, we have a lot of issues bothering Africa, especially Africa. So we discuss the issue, then we find the solution to the problem faced by Africa and Africans. That's why we are brought today to shed more light on the given that conflict in Africa, barriers to the societal development. So how do we make this? We are going to be engaging Prof on that. And how do we, the barriers, what are the causes of this conflict? What are the effects of this conflict? And how do we have a lot of cases in Africa whereby there are lots of conflict in different parts of Africa. So we want our Prof to justice to this topic, then we'll have to engage our Prof relating to the cases in Africa, the causes of the conflict, then the solution, how to manage this conflict in Africa, and advise our leaders. So these are just the content what we are to discuss today with our Prof. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Malam. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Malajamu is watching us live and is also sending the comment through. Please keep sending those comments because those comments is very important and very necessary in this show. This comments is actually the petrol to be using to make this show move forward. So please, as you are connecting, share this program, comments, send your comment through. Let's do it together. Let's celebrate this great man of our time that have done so much for the continent of Africa. I happy that you are sending those comments through. It's up now on the African Portal Radio TV International. Sir, I want to thank you very, very much for your time that we're going to spend together on this program. And I want to thank you for accepting our invitation to be on this broadcast tonight. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity to share and to reflect on our joint heritage and our joint humanity. And I look forward to a very a fruitful time together within the next couple of minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate that. Out of your busy schedule, you also give us this chance to have you here on the African Global on the African portal, where we attend to issues and things that have to do with Africa, the problem facing Africa. But before that, sir, let me allow you to introduce yourself. We've done what we could, but probably there are some that we omit or there are some that we mentioned. Kindly introduce yourself to the listeners at home, who you are, where you are, and the position you hold in the society.
Well, I listen to the other friend of yours and also try to provide some bio of my humble person. I am a professor at the first university in Nigeria, that's University of Ibadan. I have been a lecturer 1998. I became professor 2011. I became professor 2011 with specialization and interest in matters relating to North Africa and matters relating to West Africa, matters relating to cultural interactions and global politics. I'm also very interested in matters relating to gender. So my field has been hinted at in that short bio is eclectic. Wherever knowledge matters, I always want to, put myself there. I always want to stage a presence. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, sir. And I really appreciate that because one of the great things that is we need in Africa is to have a leader that's also ready to carry the people coming behind, most especially the youth. So, and that is
Yeah.
who you are. You believe
Mm,
so much in the current youth, and you want to empower them as well to discover themselves,
mm,
to also do well for themselves. Firstly,
mm,
before I engage you, I want to celebrate you. I want to celebrate your achievements. I want to celebrate the certificate and the achievement that you have made. You put together. We celebrate you on the Africa Portal and we say, well done, sir. Well done for the great job that you are doing in the continent of Africa. Well done for being the voice. Well done for being our advocate, even where we are unable to speak for ourselves. Your qualification and your office actually speak for us. We celebrate you and we
mm,
celebrate the position that you sit on. Welcome once again to
mm.
the African Portal. Without wasting time, let's quickly go to the business. Okay, let's quickly start this business in a very high tempo and address some of the issue. Definitely, we are not going to be able to talk about everything, but the one that we can be able to touch, we will do that this night. So thank you very much, sir. Barrier to the society, and that is what the conflict in Africa is. Sir, let me quickly take you in this journey. The conflict. Why do we have conflict in Africa?
Well, to attempt to answer that question is to be conscious of at least two different perspectives out there with reference to the conflicts that Africa has experienced before, and again with reference to conflicts that the continent is going through or suffering from now. The first is what could be referred to as Afrophobia. The second could also be referred to as Afro-pessimism. Uh, the in between, my view has always been that there are uh, at least five different stories or backgrounds to conflicts in Africa. There are conflicts that you would want to, okay, instead of five, let's talk about three. There are conflicts that you could describe as inside in conflicts in Africa. There are conflicts you could refer to as outside in conflicts from which this continent has suffered. Then the third one is what you could refer to as the inside out conflicts. The outside-in conflicts are conflicts brought into Africa by non-Africans. You would understand this if you cast your mind back to the late 19th and early 20th century, when Africa became like a feast for the so-called advanced countries, for the so-called imperial countries. You recall what Britain had to do in order for them to establish their hegemony here in Africa. You recall what France had to do, and in fact, what France is still doing in Africa. So there was, during that time, 18th century, late 18th and early 19th century, conflicts amongst European countries. They were involved in a rat race. They were emerging from an era known as the decadent period. So they were entering another era known as the Renaissance period. So they thought that they needed to move out. So, and that conflict, they thought a fertile ground for that conflict to be played out was Africa. So they all came to Africa. And as a result of that, Africa hosted that conflict that in fact, some people will say that conflict has not ended as at now. So that's an example of outside-in conflict. Again, I should be I should be open and transparent about this. There are other scholars who have the view that when you talk about what I've referred to as outside-in conflict,
We're still very much with you, sir. Keep sharing. We are still with Prof on the African Portal Radio. I think we lost his volume there, but the voice there. But let's see what is going on the side. We're going to rectify that in a very short time. So please stay with us. Stay tuned with the program. Thank you very much. Kumo Africa, you still there? Okay, thank you. We're in a challenge with the Prof side, but in the meantime, let's quickly. Yeah, I just want you to quickly add to what Prof is saying. Conflict. You see, Prof have mentioned few things that actually there is a conflict that's actually imported to the Africa. Let me use that word, and that is manufactured. Prof is back. Just in 1 minute. In 1 minute, there is a noise coming from. What can we say about this?
hello? 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 Hello?
And the outsiders when they came to Africa. That was when we had a challenge. That's when we had problem because they wanted to rule Africa. You know, if you have the potential, you want to show everybody that you get that power, you get that saying of ruling other things. So I mean, your subject. So that maybe when they came powerful countries, those powerful people. So something. Because I believe you and I understand that Africa was developed for the advent of the colonial masters. If you go by the history, you will see that Africa was developed. Africa got everything they wanted to take. They governed themselves well until these intruders came into the Africa.
Okay, Africa. Kumo, yeah. Let me let you pause there. We have Prof back. Each and every time the Prof line cut off, we have to log out to go and reestablish the connection. So Prof is back. Sir, welcome back, sir. I understand that sometimes the network will break down. So please, we can't control it. It's out of our control. So it's nothing to worry about, sir. It's nothing to worry about. We are not in control of it. And the distance as well is there because you are there in Nigeria, we are here in South Africa. So
I know. So that's
thank
why,
you, sir. You can continue, sir. You are explaining something.
Yeah, quickly, because the indices are not completely within our control, just as you have mentioned. When you want to discuss the conflicts that this continent, our continent, has suffered over time, I was saying you need to embark on a perspectival excursion. You have to put things into perspective. The first one could be for you to keep in mind that there are some of these conflicts that are imported into the continent, and I call that outside-in conflicts. There are others that you would refer to as inside-in conflict. These are conflicts that are generated within Africa by Africans. Then there are the third one is what I refer to as the inside-out conflicts within the.
Unfortunately, the line is breaking now from Prof. We have network from his side. So Kumo Africa is there on, our studio in Johannesburg. Okay, Prof is back. Let's see if we can re-station again and continue with him. Is connecting. Thank you very much, those of you joining us. Shenuga Uluwasheyi Adetonu, I really appreciate you so much. Right on, sir. We can hear you, please. Thank you very much. I really our middle presenter. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Keep it up. Keep it up. Your comment means a lot. You will see that through that comment, we are getting more inspiration, and that is giving us encouragement to continue on this program. So keep those. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you. We need to step out again for us to establish a connection with Prof. Are you there, sir? Hello, sir.
Yeah, are you hearing me now?
Okay, why Prof is still.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to say, I was trying to say that maybe going forward, maybe you could explore other links aside from this one you are using. We've had transatlantic conferences, seminars, with little glitches like that we're experiencing tonight. So maybe you could try other links. Maybe that might be of advantage going forward. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. The thing is just that this is for the broadcast. The one for the conference, we can have a Zoom for the conference.
Oh, okay.
But the good thing about
This
this is that this is for the broadcast. We are broadcasting live. So what is causing that is the network. So each and every time the network is breaking. Yeah. So
then
no problem, sir. We hope to.
Thank you. So quickly, maybe what we should explore, since you have audience, you have younger ones, you have fellow Africans who are young, who are listening, maybe we could quickly talk about what we can do as young Africans to reduce the incidence of conflicts within our continent. The first thing I will say is for us as Africans to keep in mind that you don't have any other continent aside from this. You could go to United States of America, for example. You could decide to go to Malaysia, for example. You could go to United Kingdom, for example. But wherever you are, what stands you out would forever stand you out, and that's the color of your skin. The Africanity in your identity, there's no hiding it. You can't hide it. What some have tried to do is to change their gender. What some have tried to do is to change their color. But the humanity in you, the Africanity in you, I guess there's no way you can change it. If you try to change it, it will still haunt you. It will still pursue you. Wale Soyinka once said in a book titled Ishara, he said you can take an Ishara man out of Ishara, but you can't take Ishara out of the Ishara man. And I expand upon that. I said that you can take an African man out of Africa, but the Africanity in him, there's no way, there's nothing you can do about it. So the first thing I want to counsel those of your listeners who are Africans is to keep in mind that the best thing you can do for yourself is to avoid suffering what scholars or critics have referred to as Afrophobia, a self-negating posture, a self-negating psychology. That's that posture of an African who detests his own identity. That's temptation by the African to detest and to hate his fellow Africans. That's, for me, that is very, very key. That's very important. Whether you are in South Africa, whether you are in West Africa, whether you are in North Africa, let's all come to that reality that this continent belongs to us all. And we must continually strive to ensure that we do the best for it, we rise with it, we work towards ensuring that it prospers, we work towards ensuring that those outside Africa stop referring to our continent as the third world. Somebody say it is he who can say hi to himself that can say you to the other. Try as much as possible. Let's all try as much as possible to work with that agency and that notion, that consciousness that nobody can inferiorize me. That you can't say I'm a lesser being than you. Because I'm an African doesn't mean that the other guy who happens to come from the other continent is better or could be better than me. We have traveled around the world. We have interacted with people all over the world. There is nothing in the African that dehumanizes the African. There is nothing in the African that inferiorizes him, except that African who looks down on himself, except that African who considers himself as an inferior to the other. So for me, one way by which and through which we can exit the conflict confronting us in this continent is for the ordinary African to stop looking down on himself. Let's consider ourselves as entities, as identities, as subjectivities with that potential to rise to the heavens. That's the first thing. The second thing, again, for the youth, is for them, and I should also say for us, because I see myself as a youth, as an African youth. It's for me not to work with this notion that my success in life would only come if I adopt the Adolf Hitler's view of life. Adolf Hitler, it was, who said that the sum total success, the total success of man would always be determined by his originality and brutality. In other words, as an African, avoid working with the notion that until you destroy the other guy, your success is not guaranteed. That is key. We have to keep that at the back of our mind as young Africans. Number three, as fellow Africans who are young, we are endowed with that potentials. We have that thing in us. And I'm saying this because I've been opportune to work in Asia for a short while. I was in Asia for a while. I was in North America for a while. I've discovered that take an African out of Africa, it will.
Take an Africa out of Africa. No, don't worry that the network breakdown, but we're still here. We're still good to go. And it's happening right now, right here on the African Portal Radio TV International. For those of you that are joining us, thank you very much. Banjo, Olaniyi, Ismail, thank you very much. Understand that. That with the breeze, I mean, when there is no strong connectivity on the other side, we experience that. That have nothing to do with me, but it's one of those things. So we are not in control of it. Even on the other platform as well, if we are on Zoom, sometimes that happens because we are actually using the here. So when breaking, but looking from his heart and his
Hello?
with you, sir.
Hello?
We are still with you, sir.
Yeah. So quickly, because of these fluctuations and glitches in this connection, I was trying to say that in order for us to, as a continent, to exit and to put this syndrome of conflicts behind us, the drivers of that will be the African youth. And I was trying to say that African youth should work on ourselves. Let's work on ourselves. Let's work with our positivities. Let's look at Africa as a land, as a continent with great potentials. Keeping in mind that when you talk about Africa, Africa is an abstract entity in absence of the African. You can't talk about a space in the absence of its occupiers. You begin to have notions of life in the presence of the living. So if we talk about conflicts in Africa, Africa being a center of conflict, we are actually referencing the inhabitants of Africa. We are the one in conflictual postures, one against another. And I'm trying to problematize the role of the African youth. So let African youth keep in mind that this country will be the best for us if we work towards making it the best for us. Now, to say that is now to factor in other factors. Let's factor in those other factors. Permit the tautology. Factors that are beyond us. And you go back to the point I made the other time. The outside-in factors. As of today, the conflicts in parts of Africa, in West Africa, in East Africa, when you talk about East Africa, you keep in mind Somalia. When you talk about West Africa, you recall the unfortunate saga and the odyssey and the tragedy of Boko Haram. When you take into consideration these conflictual settings, you remember that most of the drivers of the conflict are sometimes internal. They are also sometimes outside in. Internal, for example, factors of poverty, factor of bad governance, factor of having leaders in position, leaders who have failed to deliver on the promises they made before they find themselves in positions of authority. So you have bad governance, being a driver, being a factor for conflict in Africa. You have, in addition to that, the outsiders who profit from the conflicts in our continent. In other words, you can't talk about a conflict set in Africa today, except that there are weapons of conflict, weapons of violence in them. you begin to wonder, where in Africa do we manufacture AK-47? There's not. I'm not aware of a country in Africa manufacturing AK-47 today. These are
that is so key.
The conflict in Africa is a big business for non-Africans, and unfortunately, some Africans are not aware of that. Of recent, we have a challenge in Nigeria of IPOB. IPOB is saying they want to exit the country. When you look at the map of Nigeria, you see a part of Nigeria known as the eastern part of the country. Eastern part of the country, it belongs to the Igbo. My compatriots, they are Igbo. When you now look at the other states that surround them, you have the South-South. South-South is not interested in exiting the country. The West-Southwest is not interested in exiting the country. But unfortunately, you don't have incidents of violence. Then you see my compatriots bearing AK-47 that cost nothing less than $4,000. For somebody to have that means you are talking about the masquerade that is dancing. You look around, where is the drum to which this masquerade is dancing? You won't see the drum. Somebody somewhere is actually beating the drum. The point I'm making, they are fellow Africans, that one way we shall begin to stop incidents of conflict in Africa is for us to know that the conflict happening in our country is a big business for those outside our country. They are selling weapons of destruction to us. They sell it to our government. They make our government feel inferior. They make our government feel poor, feel insecure. They show them pictures of insecurity. They make them afraid of themselves. So they sell weapons of violence to them. They sell weapons of destruction to them. They make us feel inferior in our continent. So it's a big business for them. So we need to keep that at the back of our mind. Aside from that, and I want to say this and round it up. This continent, I've traveled around the world. I've been opportune to do that. When you keep in mind natural disasters that happen all over the world, you'll discover that most of these disasters would happen outside Africa, except for occasional ones. When you look at the map of the world, you see Africa at the center of the world. Africa is at the center of the world. In other words, there is a divide. I'm not talking as a faith-based person. I'm somebody with some religious identity. There is the connotation of ethnicities, the connotation of identities in Africa, the connotation of seeming conflictual identities in this continent. It's like the conflict you see in the preparation of a salad, or conflict you see, the different identity you see when our women want to prepare the good dishes we enjoy in Africa. It's a combination of different ingredients. Africa is so blessed. We are so blessed with different races, different ethnicities, such that we're willing to explore them. That will be better than United States of America. Then when I say that, then you remember what I'm saying. It's true. America is number one today because it prides itself as the first nation in the world. And it's the first nation in the world because it opens its door to the whole world. You see Africans in America. You see Nigerians there. You see South Africa. I met opportunity. Why not for that opportunity that it affords all races all around the world to its space? So the point I'm making, fellow Africans, let's see ourselves as brothers. Let's see ourselves as sisters. Let's avoid the second of those diseases I mentioned ab initio, and that is Afrophobia, until we stop hating ourselves, until we begin to love one another, until we begin to keep in mind that this continent belongs to you and me. Aside from this, there's no other. I was in Malaysia for quite a while. I met somebody whose skin color is like mine. I told him, "You're an African." He said, "No, I'm not an African." I said, "Give me what's the evidence to show that you are not an African?" He said, "Though my skin is black, but my hair is curly like the American." I said, "You are sick in your hair. You are suffering from certain sickness." The point I'm making, my fellow compatriots, fellow Africans, is that let's see this continent as belonging to us. Let's have that identity. Let's be proud of our identity. Let's keep in mind that Africa will be a paradise if we take the decision to make it a paradise. Let's keep in mind that
Hmm.
that's what China is doing presently. So these are matters for us to reflect on, and I pray maybe another time we'll have better time to talk about this. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sir, I will not let you go. Don't let creation of the
Okay.
of the internet. Don't let it bother you, sir. I'm feel you, and I'm so excited because you are talking.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what I just said yesterday. I was in an interview yesterday with a lady from Dubai, and I mentioned the same thing you mentioned now, that AK-47 is not manufactured in Africa. Machine gun is not manufactured in Africa. So that
Yeah.
means some people are
Yeah.
actually gaining from the problem happening in Africa. And when you mention it,
That's
I'm so glad,
that's it.
because when we look inwardly, we will realize that some of the problem that you are facing is not the problem that you're supposed to be facing.
Yeah.
Sir, before I let you go,
Not at
I
all. Not at
understand
all.
that it can be frustrating
Yeah.
sometimes if the network is not okay. But sir, don't stop us,
Yeah.
because we are a moving
No, it's
train.
okay.
Don't
It's
let
okay.
us stop us. We will still
Yeah.
get to the top of it. Sir, I just wanted to quick
Mm.
about because you've already answered all the questions. You're talking about the solution to it. The youth needs the reality of the time. The youth needs to face the
Mm.
reality. They needs to play their own
Mm.
role in solving the problem.
Yeah.
That is one. So
Yeah.
let's look at the issue of the bad government,
Yeah.
bad government in Africa. What is the solution
Yeah. Yeah.
to that? Can we say
Well,
that
the
democracy, or do we need to?
well, hello, hello.
You can continue, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. No. No.
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Yes. My counsel to when each time I have the opportunity to engage my fellow Nigerians and fellow Africans, when we begin to complain about the current leaders that we have that are not delivering on the mandate we give to them, the first thing we need to do is to be patient. The vehicle you are riding in is a rickety one. You are heading to Johannesburg, they say from Pretoria. But the only vehicle available to you now appears to be a rickety one. You have two options. Either to take your time, manage it such that sooner or later you are going to get to Johannesburg. If you say you want to throw the vehicle away, you want to throw it or throw it away, the other option left for you is to trek from Pretoria to Johannesburg, and that will take you a longer time. But if you now decide to manage the one you have, it's possible that Providence might even smile on you. Somewhere, somehow along the line, you might chance upon another vehicle. But you would have moved from point A to point B, though you are actually going to point Z. So in Nigeria, for example, my fellow compatriots are not happy that we are still where we thought we should not be as far as national development is concerned. It appears that the leadership are not delivering at the tempo, at the space that we expected. But my counsel is to them is this: if you consider what is happening in parts of the country, you will discover that we're actually not where we were before. We have moved. We have moved. We have recorded some progress, and we are actually doing that. Over time, after a short while, we shall replace those who are there now who are not delivering. So I want to counsel that it is also through democracy. We have to be patient. Democracy needs patience. The United States of America today has marked over 250 years of democratic governance. But look at what Donald Trump tried to do. It was as if US was beginning afresh. So the point at stake here, the point at issue here is that there is no perfection. We need to be patient with the system. Democracy needs patience because it is a human experiment. Human experiments are fated for two options: either they succeed or they fail. But we do not want it to fail. So we need to be patient with it. When we appoint or elect some who are not delivering on the mandate given to them, let's be patient. After 4 years, let's send them out of power with our vote, with our ballot, not through violence. I tell my compatriots. I said in Nigeria today, one of the countries surrounding Nigeria is Republic of Benin. The population of Lagosians, Nigerians staying in Lagos is close to 10 or 11 million. Imagine a situation where crisis should happen in Lagos.
And Lagosians now decide to now begin to run away to Cotonou. I always tell my people that if the Cotonou Benin Republic citizens, when they see Lagosians coming to Cotonou, they will have no option than to begin to run away from Cotonou, because Cotonou is smaller than Lagos. Cotonou cannot contain Lagosians. The point I'm making is this: we don't have an option other than to be patient with ourselves. Let's be patient with those we have appointed into power now who are not delivering on their mandate. After the 4-year tenure given to them, let's elect new set of people. Gradually, we shall get there. I cite Lagos among other states in this country as an example. Lagos is getting it right, and sooner or later, other parts of the country will get it right. And again, by extension, sooner or later, other parts of the continent will also get it right. But let's be patient with ourselves. Violence is not a solution. You can't, I tell somebody, you can't reason people into entities, into situations they were not reasoned into before. You know, if some
Wow. It's a lovely, beautiful time here. I'm getting a lot from Prof. Let me quickly connect with Kumo Africa in Johannesburg as he's still waiting to get connected to the Prof. Let's hear from Kumo Africa. Kumo Africa, there's a lot that Prof is talking about here, and I'm enjoying myself. I hope you are also following as well. But quickly, just say one or two things to what Prof is saying in 1 minute before I.
It's so interesting. So when Prof about the issue of democracy in Africa, we should see those, the colonial masters who brought this democracy down to Africa. So we see how they practice it in their own developed countries. Now, the question to our Prof is that with this issue, we have seen it in the world that the democracy is not perfect. Every country practices it. We see their lapses. Do you think Africa, can't we use another and just ask another way of practicing that we have everybody in Africa, different from the democracy? Do we have other methods that we can use in Africa, or we just, especially in United America, during the time of Donald Trump, we also want the advent of these colonial masters with us?
Quickly connect to Prof. Let me connect to Prof. Thank you, Kumo. Thank you so much. I will get back to you. Prof, thank you very much. Please, enough. It's nothing. We are used to it. We are used to it. So please don't let it bother you. The most important thing is that we are making a point and we are establishing something that is very, very important to life. Can you hear me, sir? Yes, sir.
Yeah, what was his question, please? I didn't get it. Get his argument or his.
Okay, I'm going to explain it, sir. What the question is that, can we say that democracy is working? Can we say that democracy is the best way of government? Before democracy arrived in Africa, before the colonial master, Africans have a way of governing themselves. Why don't we probably adopt that and connect it with the democracy? Then probably that will bring a progress to Africa. Probably.
Well, you have to be nuanced in your reference to the pre-democratic Africa. Again, when you say pre-democratic Africa, that doesn't mean that Africa, just as you have said, democracy was unknown to Africans. No. In different parts of the continent before the colonial era, Africans had a means, a way by which they govern themselves. We've heard of different empires in African history, some of which were Islamic in orientation. In parts of West Africa, there were traditional ways of governance, which some of the values that we have inherited from them, from that period, are still relevant up to today. My view would be that if some of those values, that some of those relics of the past that we still consider to be very relevant today, democracy doesn't say that such should not be introduced. into democratic practice. Not at all. What I think is wrong in the way we are practicing our democracy today is also what is wrong in the way they are practicing democracy in, let me even say, in United States of America. I mentioned it the other time. The last couple of, the last year's election in US showed the world that there's no perfection as far as democratic governance is concerned. That democracy is all about the way you feel, is sometimes the way people, want it to be. But we know that were it not for the structures, again, this is very, very key. What we appear to lack in Africa are the institutions that would support and protect and secure democratic practice. That is what we are lacking. Because look at what happened immediately. Joe Biden was elected. Was elected during at the ballot. The structure in US immediately changed. While Trump was still saying that he won the election, while his handlers were still saying that the election was rigged in favor of Joe Biden, the structure in US immediately went into action. They went to his house, they protected him, they deployed all paraphernalia of office to his service. Those are the kind of structure that I'm talking about. So that is what we are lacking. But again, I will say that gradually we are
I'm
getting.
sorry, sir. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, sir. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. I'm so sorry. I'm very, very sorry to interrupt you there. But it's very key that we actually talk about this, because when you mention it, I see it as one of the contents, and I'm putting it back in the content of this conversation. That okay, since we discovered the problem that we are having, that we lack of the institution. There is no institution can actually empower the democracy. How can we establish all these institutions? What is it going to cost us to put all these institutions in place for us to have a government, a democracy that will be practiced, and the citizens of the continent will enjoy it?
Again, we should also modify that, or to moderate our position. Of recent, I learned the former president of South Africa being prosecuted for corruption. For corruption cases. That shows that despite the seeming lack of our inability to be where we think we should be, there are still signs and signs, there are pointers and indicators to show that we are actually moving forward. If a former president of South Africa is now being prosecuted for corruption cases, for me, that shows that we are actually moving in Africa. You come to Nigeria, there are signs of, in fact, a couple of days ago, a former member of House of Rep was sentenced to 7-year imprisonment for a corruption case that was, instituted against him for since a couple of years now. And in fact, when I heard that, I said, I thought this had gone to sleep forever. So, in other words, gradually, do not let us suffer Afro-pessimism. Let's be pragmatic. Let's work with a clear eye. That though we may not move in at the speed, at the speed that we all desire, but we have actually moved from where we were to where we are now. Though where we are now is not where we desire to be. But when we continue the speed,
it's not the best that we can be.
This is not the destination. This is station in our journey to the real African continent. Yeah. So in order for us to get to that destination, we need to be patient with ourselves. When conflict, the disagreements will usually arise amongst us as human beings. It's constantly, you see it over there. It arises in all nations. Conflict is it's part of our inadequacies, our infirmities as human beings. So, but when conflict arises, it's not okay for me to now resort to violence and say that until I kill the other guy, then I won't leave. That informed my initial comment. That as Africans, let's work together. Let's
shun that.
Let's shun that. Let's give peace a chance. You can't develop in a state of insecurity. There can't be progress here when there is insecurity. There can be advancement when there is insecurity. So we need to keep that at the back of our mind. In all parts of the continent where there are conflicts now, Somalia now has been suffering for years now. You can't talk about progress there. You can't talk about advancement there. Look at what is happening in northeastern part of Nigeria. There have been challenges. So we need to work together. We need to work with that frame of mind that the first thing we must work for is to have peace. But if there are challenges, let's fly from Africa. There is no other continent for us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I love that. I love that, sir. But two things, sir. We just have 5 minutes to round up. But before that 5 minutes lapse, I will get to you, Kumo Africa. Please, you have 1 minute from me. But before that 5 minutes lapse, sir, I just want us to look at our judiciary, the judiciary in Africa or in any continent, I mean, in any part, any country. Do we need to still do more for our judiciary? Because most of the time, it seems to be like our judiciary are not really up to the task.
No.
That is number one.
Yeah.
Two is the issue of the insurgency.
Yeah.
The issue of the insurgency, sir.
Yeah.
Because insurgency is actually, I understand you've mentioned it in the beginning, that it was one of the problems that is actually developed by other people and imported to Africa, which I agree with you. What can we do to stop all those things in Africa, for Africa to be a peaceful continent?
You know, there are, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, we need to moderate. We need to avoid the tendency or the temptation to suffer from Afro-pessimism. When you look at the case against the former president there in your country now in South Africa, I do not know of another president, a former president, that is now being prosecuted for any case at all. In US, that is not happening. Some people across the world would have expected a situation where Donald Trump would be standing trial now. That's not happening. Was it last year or 2 years ago? The former president of Sudan was also arraigned in the court of law for certain atrocities that he perpetrated while in office. So, in other words, Africa is actually doing not badly as far as the judiciaries are concerned. I do not subscribe to the opinion that our men in wig and gown are not doing well. No, they are doing well. They are actually doing well. So what they need to do is, what we need to do is to provide them with the necessary facilities and the freedom to be operated. That's what I feel we need to do. When you talk of what is happening in the advanced country, you begin to wonder. Look at some of the cases we have heard about in the United States of America, for example. Somebody who committed certain atrocities, he'll be given a very, in fact, the punishment will be like shaking his hand that, okay, you've done well, so just go, sin no more. And he'll be asked to go. When a white man commits an atrocity, the punishment will be given to him will be different from the punishment that will be given to the black guy. One of those who went to the Capitol Hill after the election, 2020, a woman, she went to the court and appealed to the judge to allow her to go on a vacation to Mexico, because according to her, she had planned to go to Mexico before this incident, and the judge allowed her to go to Mexico, for God's sake. And that's the number one country in the world. Such a thing cannot and will not happen in Africa. So for me, Africans, we are actually doing well. We have not gotten there, but we are on the path towards getting there. As far as insurgency is concerned, for me, when our government take care of poverty, when those who commit suicide, for example, I've said this in countless seminars, and I said the person who would want to kill himself and kill the other guy will be that guy who has lost all desires to live. There's nothing for him to live for in the world anymore. So if our government work on poverty alleviation, when they work on subsidizing people's consumption of food on a daily basis, I tell my people, when you talk about hate speeches, if you feed me every day, if you clothe me, so for me, these are would begin to disappear in
We're
this
still with you,
continent.
sir. We
Once
still
government
enjoy that conversation.
Hello? Yeah.
Okay, sir. I understand what you're saying about for us not to sound as Afrophobian. I understand that, but the reason why we are actually bringing that to the spotlight is because you are the scholar. It's you that you will tell us what is really happening. When you tell us now, scholar, that the African judiciary are doing well, that is what we want to hear. Because if we say that we are not a scholar, we will not be able to whether they are doing well or not. And our own job is to get that out of you. And that is the aspect and the area that we are going to. And I thank God that we manage at least to push you to that edge to let us know that judiciary in Africa, they are doing well and they are doing their best. Even though they have not been well, I mean, we are not in where we are supposed to be, but we are doing well. And I appreciate that, sir. I want to thank you for your time on this program. Kumo Africa, you are still there. Quickly, 1 minute before we call it a day. Quickly, help me appreciate the great leader of our time. In fact, when I see the seal in you, sir, and I see the way you are talking, you remind me of those days that we used to listen to some leaders, like Martin Luther King. That is what I'm seeing when you are talking. I'm just seeing the picture of Martin Luther King in your face. I appreciate you, sir. You are one of the great leaders that actually we need more of you in times such as this. And I believe we're still going to bring you back sometimes. Sir, don't let the issue of the technology or what's happening on network. This distance is there. We are in South Africa. You are in Nigeria. It's not easy. Okay. Come on, Africa. Please.
Our guest. It is not because of the time, so we won't take much of our time. We really appreciate the effort of our guest, Professor Afis Oladosu. We really appreciate it. We say thank you very much on behalf of the management of the African Portal Radio TV International. We say thank you much. We really appreciate your effort. People watching you from different of the country, different parts of the country, they are listening to our programs. We really appreciate you. Though the network is doing that, but we can't afford to have such kind of thing because of the distance and the network. All is happening in Nigeria and other parts of Africa when it comes to network issue. We say thank you very much. Really appreciate. As you know, it's been a long time. You have been my mentor. We look up to you when I was in Nigeria, so we really appreciate that you're still there. So we are still gaining knowledge from you all the time. I listen to your different presentation and the like. Say thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Joshua.
Thank you, Kumo Africa. I really appreciate that you mastermind all this, and thanks for the effort you put together to get the prof to the program. I really appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. Kumo Africa, thank you very much. You are doing a great job. I appreciate you. I appreciate your constant concern about Africa. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Thank you very much, Kumo Africa. Sir, before we step out of this, I just want you to advise the people that is listening to us. Just one word for everyone listening to us, then we wrap it up.
I should advise?
Just one word to the world, a word to the world.
Peace, peace, and peace.
Wow, wow,
Thank
wow. You. Everyone listening to us, that is the message. Peace, peace in our home, peace in our city, peace in our country, peace in our continent, and the peace will reign in our home. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate you. God bless you. Thank you for accepting our invitation, for being here. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful night, and God bless you. Thank you very much. Bye for now. Everyone joining us, we really appreciate your time on this how this will be the end to this broadcast this hour. We'll see you again some other time. Tomorrow, by the grace of God, we'll be back fully on the African portal. Apology for the breaking down on the communication from on this program. That have to do with the distance, and we appreciate our guest as well for his input and before him. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you again tomorrow by the grace of God. Keep watching the African portal. Keep talking about it. We are your one-stop media house where everyone have a say. And I really want to appreciate every one of you for your effort and your contribution. And those of you that you are watching us, I really thank you because you are actually using your data to join our programs. We really want to thank you for that. Thank you very much and be blessed. Keep watching. Keep talking about it. This is Africa, and Africa is our business. So please, let's keep watching it. I'll see you again by the grace of God. Appreciate you once again for your effort, the times together to make sure this come to reality. I really celebrate you and I say thank you very much for the effort you are putting together. You are doing a great job. I'm going to end this with this. Enjoy, dance to it. God bless you.